I've got.
No, we're in.
All right, we're on.
That's how it
do it.
goes. Oh, I love it. Look, and today's a pretty magical day because this is my second interview today on Good Men Project, and I'm very lucky that I have so many good men in my life that I can pop up twice in a day to have those conversations. But today I've got the opportunity of sitting here with Luke Shepard. Now, welcome, Luke. Welcome to the Good Men Project.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Scott.
No worries, mate. Well, tonight's going to be an interesting one because how we met is quite unique, which we might dive into a little bit later. But I want to start with you introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, Luke.
Sure. My name is Luke Shepard. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Seaford, Victoria. I'm currently in my third year at Deakin University studying a Bachelor of Psychological Science. Yeah, I don't really know what much more to add than that, other than I think that's it. I'll just leave with that for now.
Giddy up. I can appreciate this is the first time you've done a live, so there is, there's a few nerves to that. So I appreciate you coming on and having a conversation with us. So tell me why psychology became something you're interested in.
Yeah. Okay. First and foremost, I should say that I studied psychology in high school, and when I left school, I was one of those people that wasn't blessed with figuring out what I wanted to do in high school, and I had a real fascination with Eastern philosophy, and I had done a bit of meditation, and I suppose around the age of 22, I went to India, and I said I wanted to do three things. I wanted to climb the Himalayas, learn how to meditate, and learn how to do yoga. And when I was there, I learned a lot, and I kind of came back with more questions than answers. And I tried a few different career paths, but ultimately nothing really was hitting home for me. And I suppose I took an inventory of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I was aware of the fact that I wanted to help. And with my own journey with mental health and learning about reading books on psychology and self-growth, I thought that could be a really great way to help people. And it's something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that I've spent a considerable amount of time researching under my own passion. I thought it'd be a great way for me to exercise my passion, as well as something I can do to help people.
Yeah, I love it. So talk to me about Eastern philosophy, because to be interested in Eastern philosophy, in your 20s, that's an interesting opportunity for a guy who grew up in Seaford.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I can't blame it all on myself. I had people around me that were into it. My godfather, who's a good man, he was really into kinesiology and Taoism, and he actually encouraged me to go to India. And he said, if you don't know what you're doing with your life, you just got out of school, go to India, and I guarantee you're going to have an experience over there that's going to change you. Yeah. And I mean, growing up, going to his house and seeing photos of him in the Himalayas, and it was something that was always there growing up. And yeah, Eastern, interestingly, my first, I suppose, lesson in Eastern philosophy, I forget his name, but he created a website called Mindspace. Are you familiar with that?
Mindspace. I heard of it. I'm not familiar. Okay.
It's basically, this was a long time ago, but a man who practiced Buddhism. He was a Buddhist monk. He came,
Yep.
he traveled India and all those places for many years and came back and created meditation for just everyday people to learn mindfulness. And I remember it was probably like, my first 4 or so sessions, I thought, well, what's going on? Like, I don't know what's happening. But eventually, through his guided meditations, which were only 10 minutes, I think it was after the 5th or the 6th one, when I came out of it, I felt that there was a shift and I felt good. And I got curious at that point. I was like, what is this all about?
When you talk shift, what are you talking about?
I suppose the shift that I'm talking about, which I wouldn't have been able to put words for back then, but really I would just say was a greater awareness of my internal world.
And I love that, right? Because it's just leading to so many other conversations that I've had over the years, and they're taking responsibility, but taking responsibility for your projection in self is such an important thing. How is that playing out in your life?
It's a good question. I think humility is a big one. I suppose it eliminates what's going on up here. The narrative, the things that we use our thoughts to create meaning. It just, for me, it's a process of elimination. Just having an open awareness, a reduction of, thoughts, which are just jumping from the next one to the next one to the next one to the next one, back through our emotions. It's kind of just like just being in the present and just really trying to find an anchor in the present.
How are you seeing young men these days cope with that? Because I'm seeing a lot of young men that are genuinely lost. I'm seeing a lot of young men that are avoiding partaking in life. They're doing that through gaming, through not being a part of so many things. And just live, that's okay. How are you? I'm just, no. I'm doing a live right now. Can I come back in a minute? Love it. That's life, right? So, and that's okay. So, young guys, let's look at that for a minute. What are you seeing in the young men of today?
Just sitting with that for a moment. I mean, what do I see in the young men today? are we talking like what the, like, could you just maybe open that question up just a little bit for me?
Yeah,
So
okay. No worries. So what are you seeing the problems for young men are today?
I mean, I think a large, okay, I think some of the problems that we face today, young men face today, is a lack of, I will say firstly, a lack of positive male role models.
Identify a positive male role model for me.
It's good one. Positive male role model. Rather than giving you a person, I think I'd prefer to talk of the traits.
100%. That I absolutely talks to the traits.
So I think a positive male. Are we talking about men here, or is this
Yeah. Positive male role model. I'm looking for a positive male role model.
A positive male role model for me is someone who is honest, caring, kind, curious, respectful, shows humility, has an emotional awareness. I wouldn't say a good one. I'd just say having an awareness. Is trying to help his family, his community, and himself. And I think charitable, willing to share and exchange information, mostly teaching, and I would say is a leader, someone who lives by an example, tries to be an example.
Look at that and I listen to that, right? We've got honest, caring, kind, curious, respectful, shows up with humility, emotional awareness, helps his family, helps his community, and leads by example. Right? That's a lot of traits to take on. Yeah. Where would you go to learn more about these things?
Spaces like Smiles for Life.
I let you straight in there, and I'm so rapt I did, because that's where I want to take the conversation from here. One of the things that I'm absolutely love announcing right now is the fact that you are an ambassador for the business of Smiles. Paperwork signed, agreement settled, and you ran your very first Smiles for Life dinner only a couple of weeks ago. You ran it on addiction. What did you learn on that night?
Addiction can come up in a lot of different ways. And the addiction is such a nuanced topic. It's personal to the individual, and it's okay to talk about. And there's nothing wrong with having an addiction. And I think also on that night, there was a good understanding of how we can have a conversation with someone who may be experiencing addiction or traits of an addictive behavior. I think those were some of the biggest take homes.
So normally you would be sitting and participating in the dinners that we run down there in Frankston, and you change seats. You stepped into the hosting seat. You did a great job for your first effort. You did an absolutely amazing job.
Thank you.
What's the difference between sitting in the audience, being part of the conversation, contributing to the conversation, the courageous conversation that our men connect with, to actually hosting it? What's the difference?
Difference, I think, is it's interesting because the difference between speaking and participating is very similar in some ways. Like, you're a part of the conversation. I think the biggest difference is, as the leader, is that the right word? Leader?
Leader of the conversation.
Leader of the conversation is, I suppose, holding space and, asking people to talk, and then moving on to the next. Like, I suppose it's more like crowd work in a way, like giving people a chance to talk, thanking them for sharing and moving on. I think naturally, just by starting a conversation, a conversation isn't always like what one person talks, then the other person talks. Sometimes it's dynamic. And when there's lots of people, a lot of people around the room are having their say. So sometimes you just have to sit back, which, whether you're part of the conversation or you're leading it, it's the same role. I suppose the only difference is on the day, I get to stand up the front and have an opportunity to lead the conversation.
How did it feel leading the conversation?
It felt, honestly, it felt quite nerve-wracking going into it. I felt like I haven't done a lot of public speaking, so it was very new to me. But I felt proud to be up there and sitting with the men and having a conversation that directly ties with something that I've had I wouldn't even know what the word is, the fun of studying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something that was, important to me, as well as, I think, relative to everyone in the room.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to start talking about the room. Very soon, we're going to be launching the Future Men, Future Leaders program through Smiles for Life, which you will be running. And I'm really super excited about this because we have a lot of young men these days that don't get the opportunity to sit amongst other men and have these conversations. There's a lot of single mums out there that just, could really do with a safe space for young men to sit with other men and have conversations about all things. We've had conversations about emotions, about love, about addiction. We've talked about pretty much every subject. We've even covered politics at one point, which was quite interesting, right? Where we all sat down and had a conversation about what it is we think politicians do. So we got a deeper understanding of what it is that we want to see, which is amazing. No right or wrong in the room. What can people expect if, based upon your experiences with Smiles for Life as a participant and now wanting to bring that to our young men, what can people expect? What are some of the things they can expect in the room?
I think a bunch of words that come up first and foremost, is community, connection, safety, encouragement, welcome, like you will be welcomed. You have an opportunity to be seen, you have an opportunity to be heard, and you have an opportunity to show up for yourself. And when I say that, showing up for yourself, what I mean is you go into that room, because there's always a theme. We're always learning about a particular theme that you or someone else may choose. And we have a discussion, we have a conversation around it. So I think where I was heading with this is by showing up for yourself, you're going into a space where you're going to talk about topics that will challenge the way you think. It may challenge the way you think, or you may learn something. And I think by doing that, you are showing up for education of yourself and others. And when you do that, when you educate yourself, you actually, when you come out of that space, back into your home or your school or your family or your friendship groups, you may, and it's just talking about my experience, but you may have a different opinion or a more refined way of thinking about things that you can offer to people, and you can maybe make someone's day with a new thought, or so you can support someone who is going through a tough time because you've been in a space where people are talking about things that are important surrounding, your mental health, all the fun topics we discuss, mental health, emotions. Sorry?
Yeah. And I smile when I think of mental health, right? Because to me, mental health, it doesn't explain exactly where you're at, right? I've got mental health. Well, great. Have you got good mental health? Have you got poor mental health? Can you articulate that better for me so then we can get to the crux of it and then we can actually move forward? Mental health for me is the thoughts that control the way we think, act, and behave, right? So in order to create better mental health, we need to step into different conversations with different things. There's a comment that's just popped up here I'm going to grab. And I appreciate this, Steve. Young men face different problems than older men, but their reaction, the same classic move, suffering and stoic silence. There are plenty of good men, sadly there are very few role models. I really appreciate that, Steve, because that's what we're working very hard to change. Because I know Luke has been a part of Smile to Life, which is where we break bread. We literally have conversations over a meal, and they're challenging conversations where we challenge each other to go into our hearts and have the opportunity to grow. Which, that's something for me, a safe place to actually do that. No right or wrong. Which is something else that's really important in the room, because that gives us the opportunity to be curious and explore why that's somebody's opinion. But I do agree with this. We do need to focus on projecting more positive male role models in our community because it's a lack of them. So maybe not necessarily a lack of them. There's a lot of them, possibly more lack of access to them, I would say. So but I do appreciate that, Dave. And so I love being wrong, because that way, Chris Wood, thank you so much for coming in. I love being wrong because that way I learn something new. I already know what I know, so I look out for those things that challenge my understanding of a topic. That is absolutely brilliant, because a problem's not the problem. It's how we respond to the problem that causes the pain, the lesson, or the opportunity. And the opportunity to grow, how cool is that? No one's ever made a decision to make the wrong decision, right? They made a decision to make the best decision they could possibly be in that moment. Only once they've made that decision have they understood it's been wrong. And that is a beautiful thing. So I challenge everybody, make as many mistakes as you can, because they soon become lessons if you're brave enough to invite curiosity and open up dialogue and find ways to grow. So I really appreciate that, Chris. Thank you. So look, I'm going to dive into something because I am super excited about the way in which we're going to be rolling out the Future Men, Future Leaders program. And we're going to be running it before our Smiles for Life dinners. So that way we give the opportunity for the young guys to have a safe place for them to explore things. Hopefully their dads will come and pick them up, and then their dads will stay with them, and we'll have a dinner together and we'll explore more topics. What would you see as the benefits for young men from the age of 13 to 25 by being involved in open dialogue through curiosity, courageous conversations that connect one another, and hopefully add contribution to both their lives, those around them, and the community? What would you see the benefits of it being?
First thing that comes up is opinions. We all have an opinion on something. Like, we all have opinions. And sometimes you don't really understand your opinions until you actually get a chance to talk about them. And it can be pretty nerve-wracking and emotional, especially with some of the topics that we discuss. So I can see young men coming into the room having a conversation, and it's going to be emotional and it's going to bring stuff up. And I think that by doing that, just doing that, you're strengthening your ability to communicate. And there's so much to learn by being a good communicator. You can get so much out of life by being able to ask questions in order to get answers.
Well, it's just, I love that. The freedom to ask questions, the freedom to learn through listening to other people's experience and involving them in conversation. That's one thing I never had. I never had that opportunity, and I'm jumping in, I'm sorry, but like, you're someone that I have in my life, not only as the business of Smiles, but the thing I'm most protective of is the environment around Oscar. Right? My 14-year-old son, that's the one thing I protect. I protect the environment to ensure the best people around him is given the best opportunity to grow. You're one of those people. You're one of his go-to people for my son. I can invoke no higher privilege than that. The fact that he feels safe enough to reach out to you and have a conversation about anything. And you've had conversations with him about a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And that freedom of conversation and communication is such an important thing. How do you see that being invoked? How do you see young men stepping into those courageous conversations?
How do I say it? I mean, young men are enthusiastic. They have lots of bright ideas. And I could guess that there'd be a lot of energy, a lot of people wanting to have their say. And I welcome that. I think it's such a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And they will bring a massive amount of positive energy, and just, I hope they bring some gusto too. Really throw up some subject that they think will be taking the piss out of things, but we're happy to explore whatever you put on the table, right? Doesn't matter there's no conversation we can't have. It's just about how we have it. Yeah. And if we go into it with a curious mind, then we get the opportunity of true growth. So going back to those, what are the benefits for the 13 to 15-year-olds? Just give me a quick list of the things that you think young men will take away from being a part of it.
Okay, so firstly, they're going to have a regular place to catch up with people who have an interest in learning, who want to have courageous conversations, who have questions and want answers, or who have a story to tell, or people who are suffering, or people who are looking for a new friendship group. Even they're challenged by some of their peers and they're looking for something outside of their usual network. Well, here's a safe space where we can have meaningful, positive conversations around, very valuable topics. And those people, so long as they want to participate, will regularly be coming each month. And there's a real benefit to having that community, that sense of belonging, and just have someone to be able to have a chat with, or a friend to as an ally to talk to, and hang out with and have fun with and do all that fun stuff. It'll be another network.
Yeah, 100%. And that's going to create safety for these young men. Like, yeah, I have so much to say to that, but I'm going to grab this comment because I believe it's really important that when people throw something up, we address it and bring it in. I have run communication leadership courses via Toastmasters since 1999. It's an amazing impact you can have with as little as 16 hours of your time. 16-hour your time. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I do agree with the fact that I have run communication and leadership courses via Toastmasters. Now, one of the things that I am dying to do is to actually build the Smiles for Life hub in Frankston. That's been my projection. If I get behind it there, great. If I don't, I'll build it somewhere else. It doesn't matter, because I'm too invested in supporting men and the opportunities they need. The whole idea about the Smiles for Life hub is actually have opportunities to be able to sit and have these conversations, but more importantly, it's have areas of growth. Toastmasters is an amazing personal development course where you learn to use your voice, you learn to stay in conversation, you learn to have a crack. So for me, the Smiles for Life is not just about sitting down just having conversations, but it's finding ways to grow and consistently challenge the narrative of yourself, challenge the internal dialogue so that you can make better decisions for you. So I really do appreciate that, Chris. And I'm just going to grab this from Steve. I truly appreciate the concept of male peer support groups, but how do you reach the many silent men who shy away from such spaces, held back by the fear of vulnerability? Ooh, and I love this because this is a great question. One of the things that I think is the biggest hurdle to all of the work that we do is getting men to value it enough to step in through the door. That's something that I think we all have challenges with. Like we fear, being open to attack either emotionally or physically. It's a big fear. So how do we get beyond that? Well, I think we need to really talk about it more in public settings, in the aspect of one of the things for Smiles for Life that I really work hard to do is sell the benefits to the community, sell the benefits of what's been going on for the guys, sell the benefits of how we together have grown. I'm going to talk out of school a little bit. I hope you're okay with this, Luke, because I just want to throw this in there.
Yeah.
We've had one guy who we just adore. He stepped into the Smiles for Life dinners. Now, he walked past the doors 3 times before he came in. He didn't say a word for the first 3 dinners. So every month turned up, came in, sat down, was a part of it. One of the big things that we do very differently in Smiles for Life is we don't get the guys to just speak. We actually get the guys to write it down before they speak, and we encourage conversation around things that make them smile so we can understand more about where their hearts are at. Now, these conversations lead into the more difficult conversations where we start challenging narratives, but we get the guys to write it down before they speak, because when you can see it, it's easier to speak it rather than the record player going round and round and round. So that's an opportunity I think we're growing through. And today I get a little bit tired and frustrated with the lack of investment in men's well-being, financial investment. But I feel like we'll get the investment if the men start stepping into it. Yeah. You look at International Women's Day and what goes on for that, and women celebrating each other everywhere. It's fantastic. I love it. I love making each other stronger. We need to do that for our men too. We need to step into that and actually make each other stronger by, stepping through the courageous action of walking through that door. So, and that's something, Steve, I'll look forward to discussing with you in the very near future. Chris Wood, whereabouts are we based? Oh, we're down in Frankston in Melbourne, Australia. However, we are opening up a chapter in Ballarat, which is starting on the 11th of June. And then we'll be looking to move towards Geelong not long after that. And then hopefully opening up in St Kilda just after that. We're growing based upon the experiences that we're having with so many good men. Creating more opportunities for that has become really, really important. One of the things that I just want to share this. Sorry, Luke, I've taken over a little bit at the minute, but just in the questions. One of the things that's really important to us is there is no such thing as we're the most important. It's a we together. We love turning up for other men's events. We love turning up to support other men's groups because we understand there's no one thing that's more important than another. We're stronger when we stand together, no matter what that is. And there's always an opportunity to learn when you're involved in something. So beautiful. Thank you, Chris, for that. Let us know where you're based too, Chris. That's all right. We might look coming out your way. So, Luke, we're getting towards the 40-minute mark, and we've stepped through a few things. And I want to ask you one final question.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna ask you two.
No problem.
No, only because I want to lean into something, right? Because you've been a part of Smiles for Life for quite some time. What did you get out of it?
Glad you asked.
Mm.
A lot. There's always a feeling I get after a Thursday night. And it's pretty hard to put words to it other than energized. And it just, I don't know, it seeps into many aspects of my life. What do I get out of it personally? I have a chance to hear what other people think about topics that are important. I think the things that we talk about are all very meaningful and valuable. And whatever the topic is, there's at least, let's say that there's a minimum of 10 people in the room. Well, that's 10 different opinions that I am wiser of having been there. And I really appreciate that. Like hearing what other people have to think and feel, I think gives me a greater understanding as to what other people are going through and how I can show up to help them, whether it's just hearing them or maybe some practical advice or just giving them a space to vent and, get all their feelings out, whatever it is. I really like the men who are there. I like catching up and hearing about how people's months have been. There's lots of good guys down there, and I really value seeing them because I feel like the atmosphere that we've created, you've created, it's really positive. Like it's a really welcoming space, and it's just everyone's usually happy to be there, even if it often surprises me. Some people you don't know, but everyone is happy to be there. That's for sure.
I love that, right? Because I know the people in the room. We've got real estate agents, engineers. We have a local pastor that comes and he's there as himself. He's not there for any logical reason. He just comes to be a part of the conversation. We've got guys that work for the council. We've got young men from the age of Oscar was started at 11. We've got 13, 14, 15-year-olds. We've got builders. We've got every single man adds value to the room. Every single man has had an opportunity to grow through life. And when they share their life experiences, we all grow together. And it just makes me so full in the heart when I stand shoulder to shoulder with these men that otherwise in life I may not necessarily connect with, because I'm focused on my business and where I'm at with my energy and I'm down this track. But I don't get to meet other people until I step into an opportunity like this. Then I get a deeper understanding of where we're at in society. So therefore, we grow together. And I think I really love that. And I think the true beauty in life is actually diversity, but diversity not to be used as an opportunity to be, how would I best put that? Validated, but a diversity to be appreciated. Yeah, I'm not looking for validation with appreciation with diversity. I'm looking to appreciate this, what each other brings to the table. So, yeah, I love that. Thank you, Luke. Sorry, I've gone in, but you just got me excited about the people in the room, and I think that's something magical.
No, I think they're such good points. It's true.
Yeah, 100%. Like we have top end of town and socio demographic down to the lower end of the socio demographic, and every single person adds value. Humility is just a beautiful thing. So I want one reason from you. Why would I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab that first. I love this, Chris. Reach out to your local Toastmasters club for the opportunity youth leadership courses. We'll definitely do that. I'm building a tiny house here and use that instead to go around the country teaching our young communication and leadership skills. I love that, Chris. Chris, get me over there. Let me come and run a dinner with your community. I promise you will all leave feeling more connected, stronger, and have a very prominent and positive outlook on role modeling and why it's so important. Really appreciate that, Chris. So going back to that, I want one reason. I want you to give me one reason why someone should walk through the door. Smiles for life.
Do I have to pick one?
One.
Okay. One reason. You might just change someone's life.
And that might be your own.
Who knows?
I love it. You might just, and honestly, you've seen it over and over again when that happens, when people step in the room. So, Luke, I want to thank you for coming on for your very first live, and I love sharing this journey with you. I really want to thank you for being someone special, not only in my life but my son's life. Which really makes a difference to me. I am only as strong as the community I have around me, and I appreciate having you in that. I really want to say a big shout out to Steve and to Chris for jumping on the conversation tonight and sharing a little bit of what's in their heart. I love that. I love the opportunity to create more dialogue when people pass up comment, because that gives us an opportunity to be challenged and grow. Any final words from you, Mr. Shepard?
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. Really look forward to anyone who does decide to come down to meet you, and thank you.
Giddy up. Welcome. Now, Steve, I will be reaching out to you. I'm looking forward to having one of these with you. Chris, I'd also like the opportunity to have one of these conversations with you. So I will be in contact within the next week. We'll just get this week out of the way. But I really would love to have either of you on here, have a bit of a conversation. All right, from my heart to yours, thank you for doing your best right now. And I look forward to seeing you when I pop up next. At worst case, this time next week, 6:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Now I got to find that bloody button. I have no idea.